one of my favorite jobs that I did, I was a ring announcer for shoot boxing.
I want to welcome our next guest, Alex Easley. I've known him for a long time. The man has been in Japan for quite a while, and I'm going to find out exactly how long. I can't tell you. He's going to have to tell you that. So let's welcome our guest, Alex.
Yes, hello, hello, hello. Thank you for inviting me to this pod. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you for inviting me so the world can get to know me.
That's true. How long have you been here?
Wow. I don't want to say exactly, but let's say
okay.
more than 30 years.
More than 30 years. You know how long I've been here?
I know probably as long as me, but you could say it. I'm in the entertainment business.
Oh,
I'll age myself.
Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that in the entertainment business.
Yeah, well, it's hard. People say, oh, they don't want that old man. Yes, it's difficult in the entertainment business when you get over a certain age. Well, we can't hire that old man as a dancer.
Okay. Well, let's take all this out of there.
I know, that's fine. That's fine.
You think
That's
so?
fine. Yeah. I want people to know how it is in this business.
Okay.
Yes.
So you think so? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I didn't realize that.
If you're over 50, then the jobs come less and less, and 60, they're even less, and if you're over 70, well, just forget about it. So that's the way it is in this music business and entertainment business.
Okay.
Yes.
Where were you born?
I was born in let me say Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, because it's actually a town called Homestead, Pennsylvania. And
do we have an Air Force base there?
I know that's in Florida.
In Florida, Homestead, Florida.
Homestead, Florida.
Okay.
Homestead, Pennsylvania was Steel Town, USA.
Okay.
And they had the biggest steel mills and everything probably in the world. But then things happened and the mills got old and run down, so now there's just one steel mill left. But it's become a computer town.
Has it really?
So there's internet things and young people have moved in, and my hometown is completely changed.
Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have 8. We're 8 altogether, including myself. There's
what number
4
are you?
girls and 4 boys, so I'm number 5.
You're number 5. So you came. So who's above you?
I have 3 sisters and 1 brother above me.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the rest are.
And the rest is 2 brothers below me and 1 sister below me.
sister.
Yes.
Are they all doing okay?
Well, 5 of us are still alive, praise God. Yeah.
all right.
But everybody's getting old, so that's life.
Mom and dad?
Mom and dad, passed away years ago. But we had a long life. We can't complain. We were blessed.
That's good, aren't we?
Place to eat, food on the table, clothes on our backs. We had
That's good.
everything.
Yeah.
We didn't realize at that time that we were millionaires. But once I started traveling the world, I realized that we were millionaires.
Tell me what you were like when you were a little kid. When you were going through school, were you more academic or were you more sports-minded? It's elementary school.
Right. I've never did any sports, to be truthful. I was mostly involved with singing, and be truthful, I didn't start dancing until like I was 17, because everybody would laugh at me when I was dancing. I would try to dance and do this. And then finally I watched other people dance and I just copied them. And so when I was in the last year of high school, I started to learn how to dance better, and I was on a TV show. That's one of the first TV shows I started to do, was a dance show in Pittsburgh. And I won the contest.
Okay. All right.
Yes, so then I said, oh, I can do this. And I always sung since I was like 6 or 7 years old, of course, in the church, and did weddings and funerals and events and
You
things
did all
like
that before you were 17?
Yes, I did all that. I sung at funerals and weddings when I was like 10 years old.
Okay. What kind of work did your father do?
My father worked for Sealtest Ice Cream Company.
Okay.
And also he had his
Sealtest. Yes.
He worked for that company, and also he had his own small business, wallpapering.
Okay.
So he'd come home from Sealtest, get his tools, and do the wallpapering. So he was 24/7 work.
Did your mother and father stay together the whole time?
Yes. They
did. Did they really push religion?
They didn't push religion. We did, if we wanted to go to the church, we went. If we didn't, they would say, get up and go to church. So something like that. No, they wouldn't do that. So
With there being so many of you, having so many siblings, were you guys really close? Or did you have favorites among your siblings that you were closer to?
Basically, probably the age, because my older brother was much older than me.
How much is much older?
Probably like 6 or 7 years older. So I was closer to my brother that was next to me.
Okay.
Yes, so, and then the younger ones were younger, so we were closer to them. But like we're all basically family group.
Right. And your sisters, were you pretty close with them?
Sisters, yeah, they're close to each other, talking.
Right. Oh, so you guys kind of separated, like the boys would stay with the boys, the girls stay with the girls.
Basically, yeah,
Okay.
basically that, like that.
And your mother stayed at home most of the time and took care of the kids?
Until we reached a certain age, and then she was working. She was out working because my sisters started university, and so they needed extra money for the university fund, so she would start working then. She started working then.
Okay.
Yes.
So after you finished, so I'm assuming that, of course, music and probably the arts and stuff were your favorite subjects.
Right. Yes, basically. Okay. And also history and geography.
What kind of history did you like?
At that time, it was mostly European history.
Right, that's all we got.
Yeah, so it was basically European history and wars that's going on in history and geography. I was interested in all the countries around the world, saying, oh, one day I'd like to go there, one day I would like to be there and see this and see that. So it's very interesting for me.
Did you guys get to go on any, I mean, your father working all the time, and I kind of know what it would be like.
Right, especially with 8 kids.
Right. So you didn't travel at all, or did you ever get to travel? Where was your father from?
My father was from Pittsburgh, Homestead, Pennsylvania.
And your mother?
Yes. Mother. We lived with our grandmother and grandfather.
So what about your mother? Was she the same?
My mother's from North Carolina.
North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina.
So did you ever go to visit?
I've never been to North Carolina. The North Carolina people used to always come to Pittsburgh.
Okay, because that's where my family's from, on my mother's side.
Okay.
So we're probably related.
Yeah, never know.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, you never know.
Where in North Carolina?
Her last name is Wall.
But where
so
in North
it's
Carolina?
Norfolk.
Okay, we were from Shelby.
Okay.
Shelby, Charlotte, and Shelby.
Norfolk,
those areas.
It's around
That's
that area.
interesting.
So, and then actually, we lived with our grandmother and step grandfather.
Your grandmother was your mother's mother?
My father's mother.
Your father's mother.
Yes,
okay.
and we lived with them. But it was a step grandfather because my real grandfather passed away long before I was born, and he was from India. He was actually from India. Yes.
Okay.
So
what about your real grandfather? You mean you're saying that was your real grandfather?
That's a real grandfather from India.
So you have Indian blood?
Yes, I have Indian blood. Yes.
Okay.
Real grandfather's from India. Then my grandmother remarried, and I knew my step grandfather until he passed away. Okay. So he was just a regular African American man.
Right.
So
just a regular.
Well, yeah.
He didn't have any Indian blood in him. He didn't have all this.
Right.
No, but that's really interesting, and I can see it in you too.
Yes,
you can see in yourself. Now I can see the Indian in you. Once you said that, I went, okie dokie, there you go.
Yes.
Yes.
But, we Americans are all
because your nose, the bridge of your nose, that's it.
Right.
The way your eyes are set,
yes.
Very Indian.
Right. So. And we
do you see that throughout your other siblings too?
Yes, especially my older sister, because she looked like she just came from India. Yes.
So that must have been interesting for you as a kid growing up, because other kids could see, but they don't see anything.
No,
that's all they know. They only know what they know.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it.
No, of course.
Yeah, my cousin, he used to always tell us, because he knew. Because he was older than us, and he knew the man.
He knew your grandfather.
Yes, he knew the grandfather. He would always talk about him and tell us about that. So, so we knew the history, but we really never told. Because so grandfather's in India. Yeah, big deal. It was like, oh, it's nice to hear it, but it wasn't something we would go talk to our friends about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, India wasn't something we really talked about at all anyway.
Right.
Now,
right.
Indians.
At that time.
American Indians is something you talk about.
Yes.
Because we had access to that.
Right, we had, yes.
Right, so you're 17 years old, you finally start to learn how to dance.
Right.
But you'd been performing at weddings.
Singing at weddings and funerals. And even some small clubs.
At 17?
Well, this is like maybe 16, 17, yes.
And really, did you
belong to? But it wasn't every day.
Did you belong to a group?
Yes. Well, actually, it was just a piano player and guitar player at that time.
Do you play any instruments?
Yes. No. I've been practicing piano for years, but can't play yet.
Okay, but you can sing?
Yes.
I know that because I've heard you.
From like 6 years old, 7 years old, of course in the church, yes.
Okay. Now, when did you can tell me your age you were when you came to Japan.
I was 20, I think 25 or 26, something
Why?
like that. I was working in a boutique, fashion boutique in New York.
Okay.
And one of the girls who worked with me, she had been to Japan, and she's a songwriter. And she was working at a boutique too. And there was a Japanese group called Tokyo Kid Brothers, and they had just finished a production on Broadway called Golden Bat. And so the Japanese producer, songwriter, he was staying in New York. And they together made a musical called Tokyo Diary. And she knew I was a singer and performing, so she asked me to come audition for the musical. And it was off Broadway, of course. And so I auditioned for the musical and got it. And we did the performance. And at that time, Kansai Yamamoto, fashion designer, he wasn't as famous at that time. He did the costume designer for the group. And so it just fell together. At that time, videos had just come out. Okay. This was like in the 70s. And so it was videotaped. And Kansai was just opening a new boutique in Harajuku. And the record company wanted Shimoda Itsuro, as his singer, wanted him to do an album. And so they decided to bring me and another girl and a songwriter over to Japan to record with Shimoda Itsuro and to open Kansai Yamamoto's boutique and just to advertise things for him. Okay. So it all happened within about 2 or 3 weeks. The girl told me, well, they liked the video from the musical. You might be going to Japan just to get your passport ready. I said, oh, okay.
Had you ever traveled prior to that?
Yes, I'd been to Jamaica and I'd been to the Bahamas. But at that time, you didn't need a passport because it was passport free for people.
Why did you decide to go to those areas?
Actually, my church in New York, they organized a trip to Jamaica when I was living in New York. Actually, I went from Pittsburgh to New York, and they organized a trip to Jamaica. And I went there for, it was a 10-day trip because it was very cheap, so went there for 10 days.
What was it like for you? What was it like for
you?
Oh,
it was great. It was great. It was great. Just to hear the music and the atmosphere and just to be in another country for the first time.
For the first time?
For the first time.
How old were you when you went?
I must have been like 20 or 21, something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
So did you go to college from high school?
No.
Okay,
I went to a disc jockey, what is it, a training school.
A training school?
Yeah,
to learn how to be a disc jockey. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
And at that time, it was doing records and working the studio all by yourself. I went there for 6 months.
People think that's easy.
Oh!
You know what I mean? But don't they? Because anything that someone's good at, people think it doesn't take. I tried it one time here.
Okay.
Man, and to sync it together and to be ready for the next, and you can't stop.
You can't, especially at that time.
You can't have dead air.
No, especially at that time.
It's hard.
Yes.
Even now, to know which dials and to turn it in just right.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
I really admire that when I see people that are good at whatever their trade is.
Yeah, I went and did that, and then went to New York because I knew I wanted to do musicals and Broadway things. So.
And did you?
Yes, off Broadway. I did many different things, but this was the biggest thing that happened coming to Japan.
So how long were you here when you came?
I was here for, when we first did the recording and everything, I guess that lasted about 1.5 years.
Wait.
Yeah.
But you're not, that's not a tourist visa. So you were here on a working visa. Or something.
No comment.
Okay, all right, no comment. All right, anyway.
No comment.
But you came here, the first time you came here, you stayed for 1 year?
It was 1.5 years, yeah.
Did you have to leave or anything?
Yeah, you had to leave every 6 months.
Okay, so that's, I hear what you're saying. I did that. I did that. Who did
every 6
Yeah,
at that time.
You went to Korea, you said, boom,
no
go over there,
deal
come right back, or
at
Hong
that
Kong. That's right,
Yeah,
no,
because you
that's
had
no
6
big
months.
deal.
Yeah.
Shoot, I did that for several years.
Welcome to the club.
Tell me, for several years. You knew 6 months, I meant to go up there. Yeah, so much of the people at immigration knew you. They knew what you were doing.
Yes, at that time they needed people.
They
so
did. They knew who you were. They knew you were going out. This, in Hong Kong, sometimes I'd have a flip around. I'd go there, come to the airport, wouldn't even get to the airport and come right back just to get that stamp. So when you came here, what was your impression when you first came here? And did you come into Tokyo?
Yes, I came into Tokyo.
So you weren't one of those Osaka guys?
No, it was right here in
that.
Tokyo because everything was here in Tokyo. It was just, everything seemed so small.
Okay, tell me what you focused on.
I focused on usually the trucks and the cars, basically, and then bumping my head every time I went through any door.
If you're in a tatami mat room.
Oh, and I was in a tatami mat room.
The room that my apartment I had. And just think, I lived there for a little while. I'd get up and always forget for some reason, and boop, it always caught me right here.
Exactly.
I felt like I was going to look like a unicorn when I finished.
Until finally it became automatic and you ducked,
right, you duck,
without
you just
even knowing it. Yeah,
right.
Automatically. Yes,
right.
That was it.
Right.
But it's me getting in. Some of the cars were so small and cramped. Yeah, and just seeing the trucks, I said, how could those trucks be so small? Because in Pittsburgh, Steeltown, you saw these huge trucks.
16-wheelers.
Yes.
No joke.
Yes, at that time.
That's
so
the thing
that
I
was
thought about, too.
My impression, yeah.
The way that I give it, Alex, is the impression I give, because I came here in the Air Force.
Right.
And I remember flying in to go to Air Force Base and looking down and seeing these itty-bitty trucks and cars, and when we landed, they were still itty-bitty trucks and cars. You know, I thought it was because of the height. It had nothing to do with those were itty-bitty trucks and cars. It didn't change.
Right, because you were probably used to the big trucks.
Right,
yeah.
I was just not in California anyway. Well, in the States, you don't have itty-bitty trucks.
Yes.
If you have an 18-wheeler, it's an 18-wheeler.
That's it, yeah.
Wow.
But I realized that the streets were so small, and those trucks, at that time,
and they had to be narrow.
Had to be narrow, I had to get down those streets. But they accomplished everything they needed to accomplish.
Because look at what they built.
Oh, incredible.
So what else impressed you when you came here at the beginning? Because you stayed for a year, so what were the things that started to happen to you?
Well, at that time, too, I started to get some modeling work. So a fashion agency recruited me, and I started doing modeling work. My face was up like that. Now it's down. And I started doing a lot of modeling work, especially with Kansai, since we were at Kansai Yamamoto, and he put me in his fashion show. So after doing his fashion show, other companies asked me to do their fashion shows too. So that was one foot into the fashion business.
And there was good pay, wasn't it?
It was very, very, very good pay.
Because it's before the bubble, and they were giving you big money to
It was
do
very,
one
very
set.
good money. It's like 150,000 yen for a modeling fashion show.
And that's when the industry.
The cheap money was when you did magazines and stuff. That was like
right.
10,000 or 15,000.
But that would be a quick shoot.
That's a quick shoot. And then TV commercials, and I had billboards.
Didn't you? You did a couple of TV commercials?
I did quite a few.
Were you getting $1 million for that, or
something like that?
Right.
Something like
that. Because I think that's how they did it
at that time.
You're right. If it were their photos,
right?
You said like you're right,
yes.
10, 20,000.
Yes.
If it was a fashion show, you got Juman, Nijuman.
Yes, something like
that. But if you did video, commercial.
It was
you
big
get
money.
$1 million, right? You get 500,000 on up.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the company.
That's right. And what the commercial was,
Right. Yeah. So it was very good at that time. I was spoiled.
And you know what else too? You didn't have the Japanese couldn't get in. They couldn't get military people so easily.
No. And it couldn't be dependable because something could happen. You couldn't get
and they'd be taken
base.
out. Right. Exactly.
Yes.
But now they do, and it's ruined. I think it's kind of messed up the market.
Well, when doing the music business, I used a lot of for singers when they wanted a choir.
Okay.
I worked with a lot of military people, and then the keyboard player, it was different because his wife was in the military, so he was free.
He was free to do
whatever he wanted. And I worked with him for years. So, in a way, I guess it might have messed up some part of the business, but in another way, it helped me in many ways too.
But you knew how to navigate it.
Yes,
for the Japanese, they couldn't.
No.
So it'd be very difficult for them.
And I know a lot of the people, they asked the military people to do it, but they didn't show up. Or they weren't professional, so they didn't get there on time. So they learned.
Tell me, what were some of the most interesting things that happened to you while you were here? Some of the most interesting people you met during your journey here in Japan? Do you just rattle them come off the top of your head and think about it?
I guess a lot of the fashion designers and the singers, Japanese singers that I work with, Joe Yamamoto, who did Ningen no Shomei, one of the movies that I performed in. I played his father in the movie. And
is he still around?
No. He died of cancer maybe 5-6 years ago.
But wasn't Joey half black?
Yes.
I knew it. That's right.
Yes, his father was black.
He couldn't speak English though.
He learned
just a
slowly.
little bit.
He learned slowly.
That's right.
Yeah. He learned to speak English. When I first met him, he couldn't hardly speak, but then over the years, he studied and he learned
Did
how
you
to
ever
speak
work
English.
with Bill? He did a lot of the Bug movie.
I worked with Bill Dorsey.
Dorsey, yes!
All the time. And he's one of the people that helped me with the
Wasn't he
TV
something?
jobs.
He helped everybody. Anybody could. He helped so many people.
It was so many jobs, really things. He was like, yeah, I need you this, I need it all the time, the movie jobs. And he was the head guy for, I forget the name of the company he worked for, but he would be calling entertainers, foreign entertainers for jobs.
He was a good man.
Yes.
He was a good man. He really helped the people. He asked me a couple of times, but that wasn't my,
your field, yeah.
That wasn't my field. But he asked me a couple of times.
He helped
to do
so many.
He really did. And like you said, it's good money.
Oh, very, very good.
It's good money. And he wasn't the kind of guy, I've met some people, you can have good and bad people in any field, so we won't even go there. But I just want to say for Bill Dorsey, he was a good man, and he really tried to help people of color here.
Oh, without a doubt. And I'm one who can testify right now that he helped me a lot, and showed me many things that I need to do and not to do in this business, which is really helpful.
He'd school you right away.
Really, really helpful.
You didn't have to ask for that. He'd let you know right away.
And I'm still using his technique and using his advice these days. It's still good. Yeah, still good. Yeah.
So what are some of the other things that you went through while you were being here? And what keeps you in Japan?
In America, everybody said, if you're working and doing the kind of work you like, stay there. Stay there. So that's one of the things, as simple as that. So I'm in the entertainment business. And one of my favorite jobs that I did, I was a ring announcer for shoot boxing, a martial arts called shoot boxing. It's a mixture of kickboxing and wrestling together. So I never in my wildest dream did I think I'd be a ring announcer for shoot boxing. And I did that for 25 years in Korakuen Hall. It was one of my favorite jobs because I love martial arts. Just watching when Bruce Lee was one of my favorite actors, and I love that.
But you never practiced martial arts?
No, I never did it.
But you like watching it?
I like watching it, yeah. All martial arts, everything. So that was one of my favorite, just to interact with the boxers and the kickboxers and the shoot boxers. And met many of the famous fighters in Japan. So that was one of my, I was like a groupie.
Following them around.
Yes,
because you had to, it's your job, you had to announce them.
Yeah, that was my job, I had to announce them.
And you needed to get to know them too.
Yeah, you need to get to know them, yeah. Right. So, and then the ones that were in the shoot boxing gym, I knew them because everybody would, after the event, have dinner or something together, and then traveled all over Japan because they had events all over Japan.
Was that choreographed, or were they really fighting each other?
They were really fighting. It was a real fight. That's why Tiger Mask from wrestling and Caesar Takeshi from kickboxing, they got it together because they wanted a real event.
Right, not something that's choreographed like wrestling's choreographed.
Yeah, choreographed. No, this is real. Okay. I can tell you it's real because I went to the hospital with some of those guys after the fight.
I can imagine.
So it's definitely for real, Yes. So, and that's what they wanted, something real. And so first they got together and called it Tiger Mask from wrestling, he called it shooting, and then Caesar shoot boxing. So it was together at one time, but then it kind of separated, and the shooting is more wrestling and kickboxing together, and the kickboxing is more kickboxing and a few of the wrestling next to it. So it's pretty big. It's not as big as like wrestling now, but it's been going on, I guess now about 30, 35 years.
That's right. Are you still doing any of the announcing for that?
No, they changed their production company about 7, 8 years ago.
Okay, so not long.
Yeah.
And you were doing it up till then?
Yes. Actually, I was with them at the beginning, when they first started, because I was like the halftime entertainment.
What would you do for entertainment?
I was like a DJ for them. Okay. I was playing records and playing songs until for the first 3 years.
How big of the crowd? How big of a crowd would they?
The Korakuen Hall is full. Usually, I guess it holds about 2,000 people or something like that.
So you'd be playing to 2,000 people?
Yes, it'd be playing 2,000 people, yes. So, but after a while you just got used to it.
But do you ever have, do you recall the times when you had a case of nerves, or do you still have a case of nerves sometimes when you get in front of people?
The only time I remember having a case of nerves is when the NBA team came here and played in Japan, and I was singing the national anthem. And I never sung the national anthem before. And I said, uh-oh, I better not forget those words. This has been years ago. And that was the only time I felt, really nervous. Any other time in my life, I never felt any nerves or anything like that.
You just have a gift for it.
Yeah, so just because I've been doing it since childhood, so it just comes naturally. So, but this is like an international event that's broadcast all over the world.
And you're thinking about who's going to see this that I know, and they're going to see me. And did you do okay?
It was fine. It was fine. It was fine. It turned out really good. Because I kind of cheated. I had some of the words on my hands like this.
Oh, did you really?
But I might, the person that I might
That's
forget.
That's a good one.
So.
I know that. And you did it this way.
Yeah. I got that from doing weddings, because singing at weddings, I put the groom and the bride's name on my hand.
She said, Takako, and he did.
Yes. Because I usually include their songs in the weddings. So I have the names on my hand, so they say, oh, they remembered my name. Sometimes I do remember and don't need it on my hands.
That's the good way. So next time next time you see Alex singing and he's going like this and he starts saying something, you know somebody's hand is, somebody's name is on his hand.
Yes.
That's good. That's a neat technique.
Yes. So
that's really good. What are some things that can happen or kind of mess up a performance when you're going in? What are some of the things that you dread having happen?
Wow. Let me see.
And how do you deal with it?
Probably on stage, if the electricity goes out or somebody doesn't show up that you need to play, or you arrive, at that time they had MDs. You arrive and the place doesn't have an MD player, they have something else or something like that.
How do you deal with it? Would you deal with it? Let's say in the MD case, there's no player.
Yes, so most of the time I would have to find some place that rented near there, or somewhere, like if it's a department store, shopping center, where we used to do all the time, some place that had a rental place or something like that, and try to look for it and find it. In the end, we even might have had to buy a small cassette.
Would that come out of
player.
your fee? Would that come out of your fee, or would that be charged to the person bringing it?
To be truthful, I can't even remember.
Okay.
It's
But
been
that
so
happened
long
once.
ago, so
Okay.
long ago.
Huh? So
Yeah,
what will we
something
find
like
you
that.
doing these days, Alex?
These days, because of Corona, it destroyed mostly all the entertainment work, because the clubs and the weddings basically completely stopped.
And they haven't come back online?
Well, they're coming back, but slowly. It's just going to take time. It's never going to be like it was like before Corona. I shouldn't say it's never going to be like it was before Corona, but everything just takes time to come back. So you just have to go with the flow, And a lot of entertainers just went online, but now things are starting to come back, and actually I've started doing the weddings again. So, but it's still just going to take time. So,
do you find yourself, are your weeks pretty booked, or do you have a lot of time in between that?
Well, during my week, daytime, I try to keep things open for other Christian volunteering group things that I do. So I try to keep those open, because I'm on a group called Prison Ministry and Refugee Ministry. So I try to keep the days open for that.
Yeah, you were just telling me prior to the podcast that you're
right.
getting overwhelmed in a way with all of the people that you're having to deal with.
Yes. In Shinagawa, every day there's about 100 people applying for refugee. 100 people every day. So I feel sorry for the people working there. And about 50 of them calling me for accommodations. I shouldn't say 50, it seems like 50, probably about 10 calling me for accommodations. And when I go there, people don't have the forms filled out right, and they just need help filling
Where
out
are they
the
coming
forms.
from? Is there any particular place they're coming from more than others?
Sri Lanka, more from Sri Lanka, and you have a lot now from Pakistan, Bangladesh. And I was surprised that I didn't see before a lot of people from Cambodia.
Are these people, are they able to speak at least English?
About probably half.
Okay, because I would assume hardly none of them would speak Japanese.
No, just some that were students that are applying for refugee. Those are the ones that just speak some, but most no cannot speak English. And then actually if you can't speak English, if you don't bring someone who speaks English with you, it's hard to apply.
I would think so.
And then you need an address in Japan before you can apply, and you need proof of the address. A gas bill, light bill, something like that. So most of the time the problem is accommodations.
They don't have any.
Yeah, don't have it. And you have the Japan Association for Refugees, but they're swamped and overwhelmed too.
Do you know what they do with the people that don't have a legit address? I mean, thousands. I'm sure someone goes to find these people. What do they do? Are they, deporting them or something?
No,
or
no. You just have to get that in before your visa expires.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So a lot of times you can use Japan Association for Refugees. You can use their address.
I see.
If people know about the group, but a lot of people don't know about the group, so I try to tell as many people as possible about it. Yeah. So it's difficult, but somehow, hopefully, it works out. Probably not for everybody, but yeah.
Alex, before I end the podcast, there's a question I always like to ask my guests. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time and meet the young Alex, to give him advice, how old would you be, and what advice would you give him?
I would say stay more in Jesus Christ.
How old are you?
I'm probably just before coming to Japan, so it'd probably be like 23 or 24. And think about your future and try to stay in Christ, because I fell away. I was always a believer, but sin comes into your life, and you're human. So I would try, come on now, think of what you're doing before you do it. And that's what I would tell myself. Think of what you're doing before you do it.
Thank you so much, Alex.
No, thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for watching this podcast. Make sure you press like and subscribe. And never forget, it's all on loan, so continue to reach for the stars.
Because you're too blessed to be stressed, and I know I'm blessed completely. I'm giving my blessings away to everybody who's watching it. I'm giving the blessings away in Jesus' name. Amen.